Hi everyone. I wanted to make a short video, well hopefully it'll be short, sort of going over some basic concepts in our first week. And I apologize for the sound of a cat. Will you please be quiet? I am trying to do a video. Oh. So anyways, our first session for LDR 703 is asynchronous. That means you're not going to be in the classroom, the physical classroom. You will be remote only. All students will be remote only. And you'll see that when that opens up on Canvas. I wanted to make this video to sort of help you navigate at least generally what this course is about. This course is about, as the title is, leadership and culture. And throughout the course, even though the word culture will be used, primarily I like to talk about culture in terms of ecosystem, and we'll see that in this presentation. Now, this is a condensed version of the presentation you will see in your first week. Now, a couple of things. This is a grad course, so it is unlike the undergrad courses. And there's some distinctions between grad level courses and undergrad courses, and I wanted to spend just maybe a minute or two going over that. First, with a grad course, a lot of learning takes place outside the classroom. There is a lot of independent work, and that is independent work on your part. In this course, there will be no team, group type assignments or assessments. Secondly, grad school and the courses are more specialized, and they tend to focus on very specific areas. And you see that with this course, leadership and culture, very specific. Also, from your perspective, you will need to change, if you haven't already, your study habits. With a grad level course, there is much more research, there's much more reading, and there is much more application. You have to apply your research and your reading to the real world, and perhaps also some real world experiences that you may have. Lastly, I treat the grad student differently than the undergrad student. There are no exceptions. The rules are the rules. The course syllabus is out there on Canvas. Everything you need is basically out there on Canvas. And you just need to follow the rules. And it's sort of like anything else in life. With all that said and out of the way, let's take a look at what we're really going to be looking at this shortened semester for LDR 703. And you're going to see I refer to the ecosystem. So as we look at the presentation, one of the things that I always want you to keep in mind is that we have this dynamic here of vision, strategy, and execution. The leadership realm is primarily vision and strategy. Management's realm is primarily strategy and execution. As I've always said, vision and strategy is nothing without execution. Now, how does the culture or ecosystem come into play here? Well, leadership is influenced by the ecosystem. But keep in mind, the ecosystem is something that the leader crafts. Excuse me. The corporate ecosystem, which is made up of hundreds of smaller ecosystems, influences this dynamic here. So this critical dynamic of vision, strategy, and execution is tremendously impacted, tremendously influenced by the company ecosystem. Now, the reason why I like to sort of not talk about culture but talk about ecosystem is what you see here. When we talk about culture and we use the term culture, culture pretty much has a people-centric perspective, a people-centric definition. And that's all well and good, but culture is more than just people in the workplace. Ecosystem gets us to change our thoughts. Why? Because an ecosystem is not so much people-centric as it is element-centric. And we'll see that right here. Here is your ecosystem. And the ecosystem is made up of a lot. First, you will see by this graphic we have the 4 functions of management. And I'll go clockwise: planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. So the leader has to plan the work, organize the work, direct the various resources, and control the work. Of those 4 primary functions, the one that really is most important to the leader is controlling. If you don't control the work, then you may as well not even plan, organize, or direct. Controlling is all about ensuring you get results. That's execution. So how a leader goes about the 4 functions of management, specific to, now we go inside this square, the 4 resources. So here I'm talking about planning, organizing, directing, and controlling 4 resources. We have physical resources, technological resources, capital resources or financial resources, and human resources. Physical resources, raw materials, office space, temperature in the office. Technological resources, data, information. And keep in mind, there's a big difference, and you need to know the distinction between data and information. Okay? Data, raw elements. Information is how humans interpret that data. Also, technological could be processes, your IT architecture, your IT systems. Capital, everything finance. Cash, how leveraged is the company. Budgetary constraints. And of course, human, here's your people-centric. So when we talk about the word culture, we're usually only focusing in on people. And the difficulty with that is there's so much more going on. So how a leader plans, organizes, directs, and controls the 4 functions, the physical, technological, the human, and the capital, has an impact on some major elements of the ecosystem. And we have 7. And we'll be visiting each of these in their own way for each week. We have context, communication, metrics and rewards, vision, values, processes and systems, and leadership. So here is your ecosystem. Here is how the leader impacts it. Now, what is also very important is a healthy ecosystem is intentional. It is driven by the leader. The leader goes about it in a very intentional manner. It is always at the forefront for the leader. How does the leader do that? You'll see the bullet points. Define the ecosystem. Put it to paper. Let others see it. What elements are most important? There were 7 elements. Some are going to be more critical than others. What elements are more influential? How will you control each element? Again, getting back to one of the 4 functions of management, a primary function, control. How are you going to orchestrate all these elements interacting appropriately with each other? And how are you going to establish the rules? What's important, and you'll see it on the slide, each element must be in alignment with each other. That is the orchestration. If the leader falls in doing one of the 4 functions of management, or has difficulties with one of the 4 resources, that's going to have a tremendous impact on one or more of the 7 elements. In this slide, we sort of see the elements together. And even though there may be alignment, doesn't mean that the ecosystem is a healthy one. Let's take a look at each of the sentences here, and you'll get a feel for that. ABC Company has a history of a fast-paced 24/7 environment. That's context. That's historical context, one of the elements of an ecosystem. The company's vision is to beat the competitor with quickness to market. That's vision. Being able to deal with ambiguity in a fast-paced environment is important. That's a value, another element in the ecosystem. There's not a lot of time to communicate within the organization. Communication. And I probably could see just by that sentence that you're going to have difficulties with one of these elements, communication. Only two metrics matter, speed and profit. Metrics. A new manufacturing system was purchased and implemented because of its speed, with quality controls in place, processes and systems. Leaders do not always have time to give positive feedback or meet with employees. Leadership element. So as you look at some of those statements, some of them make sense, maybe somewhat positive, are probably impacted by the industry the company is in or the company's ecosystem itself. Others, not so positive. Could be toxic, in fact. Now let's take a look at a different statement of the various elements of ecosystem. XYZ Company has a history of innovation, context. Your vision for your unit is continuous improvement, vision, with a value statement that all employees will embrace learning, values. You ensure you have formal monthly one-on-one employee meetings where you review learning objectives, communication. You ensure each employee is graded on their ability to learn new concepts on the performance evaluation, metrics. You've collaborated with HR to roll out an online learning system to aid your employees, processes, and systems, that element. And you invite your manager to weekly team meetings and ask her to always talk about the importance of leadership. This is a different example. We have statements for each of the 7 elements of our ecosystem. You can see that they're orchestrated, they align, and they are positive. Hopefully this presentation has helped sort of give you an understanding of LDR 703 and our direction. We will be rotating our weekly schedules between live, remote only, live, remote only. Some students will be remote only all the time. When we are remote only, everything you need is on Canvas. It'll be asynchronous. And you'll get weekly emails from me, which will provide you guidance. For students who will be attending live lectures, there is the seating chart that you will have to follow, and I will help you when you do arrive for class. For remote-only students, all sessions are asynchronous. There are no Zoom lectures, so you'll totally be asynchronous with the material on Canvas. You will not have to zoom in. I'm looking forward to the semester. I'm looking forward to LDR 703. I'm looking forward to the readings that you will be working through and the assessments and assignments that you'll be working through. I think you will find it enjoyable and applicable to your workplace. Thank you.